After weeks of intensive Zwifting, we are finally here. Welcome to Alpe du Zwift. This is Zwift versus real life Alpe du Zwift challenge. But first, let's take a look at the climb. 13.8 kilometers, average gradient of 8%, 1,071 meters of climbing. Featured 30 times at the Tour. Fastest recorded descent, Marco Pantani, 1997, 37 minutes, 35 seconds. 21, iconic hairpin! Corner number 7, known as Dutch Corner for the hordes of Dutch fans, clad in orange that line the climb every time the Tour winds its way up here. Interestingly, Dutch riders have won Alpe du Zwift stages at the Tour more than any other nation. 8 out of the 30 times it's featured in the Tour. So here we are then on board at the start of the climb. You can see the start of the climb on Zwift just there with the marking on the road, and then it ramps straight up. Now in real life it really hits you that. Suddenly it's like 10% immediately, and you're like, oh my days, what have I let myself in for? And that's exactly the same on Zwift. Now we're heading up towards the first hairpin. This is hairpin 21. On Alpe du Zwift the hairpins count down from 21 to 1 all the way from the bottom of the climb to the top. Out of hairpin 21 we go. Now you can see on Zwift they have this very cool tunnel with the glass panels on the side. As you can imagine, that isn't there in real life, unfortunately, but it gives you something nice to look at. On Zwift, now this is up through hairpin 20, and you can see it's very realistic, isn't it? They've got the curve of the corner exactly right, and just here as you come out of the corner, look at that, you can see it's pretty accurate. Now that's hairpin 19 there. There isn't that house on the corner like that in real life, unfortunately. Never mind. Now as we keep going on, so this is just out of the corner 16. You can see these houses on the right here on Zwift. That's what it looks like in real life. Obviously, there's more going on Zwift. Now here's the arched bridge on Zwift. Now this is between 16 and 15. Again, it's something nice to look at on Zwift. It gives you sort of something to aim for, but it's not there in real life. The same applies to this yellow crane, precariously placed logs there. That's on the way to hairpin 13. Now, here we are. We're through hairpin 11 and under the rock tunnel. You can see it's looking pretty good. There weren't many people on the Alpe du Zwift when I was doing it. Where are they? It's a great climb, guys. Get involved. Now, this is the weird sculpture thing, and this is hairpin 9. As you can imagine, that doesn't exist in real life. Up to Dutch Corner, the most famous corner on the climb. Here you go, corner 7. You can see in real life, there's a church and not much else going on. On Zwift, what they've done is included some sort of orange tents to give you the sense that you're at Dutch Corner. But other than that, there's not really much to indicate that it is Dutch Corner. Now, this is a long stretch with the snowbanks on Zwift between hairpins 7 and 6. During the climb, Alpe du Zwift and real life, that's a real tough section, and you really just got to keep at it. Keep your head down and keep turning the pedals. Corner 5 here. Now that, you can see it's pretty realistic, isn't it? Through corner 5. Here is the tunnel on the way to turn 2. And I think this is really nicely done, actually. This is the turn named after Marco Pantani, by the way. And this is out of turn 2. You can see there it's pretty good, isn't it? Pretty realistic, to be honest with you. The gradient changes are bang on. Final push to hairpin 1 as we approach the end of the climb. On Zwift, you have this giant sculpture that you're aiming for. And this is a hard section, to be honest, because you're just thinking, God, when will it end? When will it end? And in real life as well, we're just coming up towards the finish. We'll talk about the finishes in a minute, but the finish that matches up with the Alpe du Zwift is just as you get into the village of Alpe du Zwift. And over the line, yes! Good job. So that was our challenge complete. Hey, now time for the face-off. Real life versus Zwift. In keeping with our other Zwift versus real life videos, let's break it down. First up, visuals. Now I think it's important to start by saying that the Alpe du Zwift isn't supposed to be a direct replica of Alpe d'Huez in all aspects. That's to say that while the course is nearly identical, the landscape isn't. After all, Zwift is designed to be a form of video game rather than a cycling simulator. So while you certainly recognise the twists and turns of the course and the gradient changes, the backdrop is obviously completely different. And to be honest, that is a good thing. A true virtual representation of outdoors wouldn't be particularly interesting to look at. You'd be staring at the exposed rock and trees that line the road, which on a turbo trainer could get pretty boring pretty quickly. So we reckon the Alpe du Zwift is far more visually appealing. Features like the tunnel on the way to hairpin 20, the arched bridge on the way to turn 15, and the weird sculpture thing on hairpin 9 all do a great job of keeping things visually stimulating, and most importantly, give you something to aim for while you tap out the kilometers on the trainer. That said, we think the course could benefit with a few more real-life features. The orange tents at Dutch Corner give you a sense of where you are, but how cool would it be if they included hordes of crazy Dutch fans cheering you on past the quaint church on the corner? So a close one, but we're going to give visuals to Zwift. Next up, let's look at performance. Time to look at some data. Now for real-life Alpe d'Huez, there are two finishes. The Tour de France finish takes you right through the village of Alpe d'Huez, and the Strava segment is called Official Chrono Course. The more popular tourist finish lies just as you come into the village, and the Strava segment is called Alpe d'Huez Via l'Alpe. It's this one that most closely matches the Alpe du Zwift segment, which is called Alpe du Zwift Zwift Insider Verified. Now the virtual segment and the real life segments are pretty close. There's just 4 more meters of elevation gain for the Zwift version, but the Zwift version is 280 meters longer. So for the Zwift climb I averaged 287 watts, and for the real life climb I averaged 276. As you can see, the Zwift climb was 7 minutes and 54 seconds faster than real life. Now, the additional 12 watts I averaged on Zwift would have made a significant difference over the course of the climb, but not enough to account for nearly 8 minutes, especially with it being longer. So what's to explain for that? Well, over the course of such a long effort, clearly wind resistance is going to play a big part, as well as that strange force known as gravity. So overall, while not perfect, the Zwift climb is pretty close to real life, to be honest. Now, one thing that really stood out was the realism of the road feel on Zwift compared to the real thing. With a trainer like the Kicker, you do feel all the subtle gradient changes in and out of the hairpins, which means just like real life, you have to shift up and down to keep your cadence in check. This was really impressive stuff, I have to say, and made the experience feel very much like real life. So in terms of performance, we're scoring this one a draw, half a point each. If you can find a more realistic virtual version of Alpe d'Huez, I'll eat my cycling cap. Next up, laziness factor. Crawling out of bed and onto your trainer versus traveling 700 miles with your bike to climb it. Zwift wins. Seriously though, it's pretty awesome that you can ride climbs like these from your spare room. And finally, fun factor. Well, a tricky one. As we've said, Zwift has intentionally made the Alpe du Zwift as immersive and stimulating as possible. There are some great tongue-in-cheek markings on the road, and the transition from green valley floor to snowy mountaintop is great fun too. But come on, it's up against Alpe d'Huez, the most iconic climb in cycling, and the feeling you get going around those legendary hairpins really is like no other in the sport. So it's a photo finish, but we're giving fun factor to real-life Alpe d'Huez. So there you have it. Zwift takes it 2.5 points to 1.5, but what a battle. Time for our next challenge. When are you creating a Ventoux, Zwift?